statement of adequate notice?
Yes, we do. The Board of Health meeting was noticed on January 6, 2015, to the Trenton Times and to the Princeton Packet. And for the record, we just came out of a closed session, which was also noticed November 2nd, 2015.
All right, we'll salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now as it relates to the Board of Health meeting, are there any public comments? Only Board of Health.
Board of Health, yeah.
All right, seeing none. For action, we have the minutes from the 3rd.
August 3rd, 2015, Board of Health minutes for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Bork.
Yes.
Jeevers. Yes. Morate.
Yes.
Mendonez.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes. And we have any discussion items?
None.
Okay, no closed session. Closing public comments for Board of Health only. All right, seeing none, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moving on to the business session, we've already saluted the flag. We have no ceremonial matters, so we'll move right into public comments.
Just 1 second. All right. Public comment for the business session.
Anyone?
Sign-up sheet.
Okay. If you want to start, I just haven't gotten a sign-up sheet. If you guys want to start, that'd be fine.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was going to say, really? Nobody?
Yeah.
Sorry.
After I give you my
Sorry, I
stuff.
forgot.
William Wyman?
Yes, that's me.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Your name and address?
Bill Wyman, 5 Huntley Drive in West Windsor. I've been a resident of 22 years. I had 2 daughters, went to the West Windsor schools, taken a great deal of pride living in this township, taking care of my property, which was taught to me by my mother. I understand that recently the Township Council passed an ordinance to enforce the not putting leaves and things in the streets until 1 week before, which is a very onerous thing within our development because of the large trees that we have. For an example, I have in these, this handout I gave you, we have 8 large trees just on my property. 3 of them still have all their leaves still on the trees. According to this year's schedule, the only time I can put leaves in front of my house for township pickup is the weekend before Thanksgiving.
That's not true. You have a full week before.
A full week. So
Full week before your week.
Right. So what I'm saying is that the township has passed this, and I understand the rationale, but some of the statistics that I shared with you, nearly half of all the houses in our development, which again is very treed, have leaves in the street. A lot of people don't even understand they're going to get these summonses because I just drove here and new people have put leaves in the streets. And you'll see in some cases the pictures that I've shared with you that it looks like we're encouraging people not to rake their leaves, not to take care of their property. Right now, I have a huge pile that has got a tarp on it with twigs on it right inside the sidewalk because I know it's going to rain and those leaves become extra heavy. So I do this work myself. I take a pride in it, trying to save money and do things that you can yourself. And this is just very onerous. I'm not asking you to change it, but I'm wondering whether some kind of a grandfather clause for certain developments and allow for some kind of an allowance during the months of October and November.
Okay, let me stop you there. This has been in place forever.
But I've lived here 22 years.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
A year ago, we only passed an ordinance that stopped pickup in the months of January and February when it's snowing.
That's fine, yes.
There was discussion about limiting the pile size. We vetoed that. and put a little bit of teeth into enforcing it. But putting out your leaves 1 week prior to your leaf week pickup has always been the rule. There was no change to that. And I sympathize with you. I don't know if you know where I live. I live on Penn Lyle Road. My driveway's 400 feet long. We drag the leaves to the street, and I've probably got more trees than about anybody in town.
Which is what I do too.
So I sympathize with you, but there was no change when we did this a year ago that would have changed anything you're saying.
True, but I've lived here 22 years, and this is the first time I have ever gotten any kind of a violation notice for doing this.
But we have been, how long did we talk about this? For probably 4 or 5 months?
Yes. Yeah.
So it was in the papers repeatedly, it was on TV repeatedly, things were sent out repeatedly, and now I think you're just maybe finding out about it. But I will tell you, the vast bulk of this town knows about this, that there's going to be some teeth in this, because what we had was a situation where people were just putting out their stuff whenever, and that was never the rule.
I understand completely, and I'm not talking about the year. I'm just asking for perhaps to consider for 2 months for during the lease because of the onerous nature of that too, especially like a development such as ourselves.
I know, and I'm planning not this weekend, is it this weekend? This weekend, we have to do leaves for the next week, so we plan it on the calendar. Mr. Herbert, you have something to say?
And Mr. Council President, also, just so you understand, the New Jersey DEP has certain stormwater requirements, whereas these leaf piles block where the stormwater goes, and that's another reason that we cannot put the leaves out.
You don't have the
week before.
I understand, but you don't have the pictures here. There's a street on Edinburgh. It's all there. That's not even being enforced there. So I don't think it's consistent.
Well, now that's part of the administration's ability to enforce things. Ms. Schmid?
Yes, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
And, you know, you take a look, some of our neighbors' neat piles versus leaves all over the place. I think it doesn't even apply to that it's, some people don't even take care of their property in our development. And they just leave the leaves in a hazardous way on the sidewalks and in the curb. And I just think you're encouraging a wrong result, as you can see from some of the pictures I've shared with you.
Look, people have to take pride in their properties, and we're not going to go around raking everybody's leaves who don't rake their leaves. But we do have a policy in effect that has worked very well first of all, it's worked pretty well for a while. We put a little teeth in it a year ago, and you are literally the first person to get up and complain about it. And Mr. Bork and I were just talking about, the last meeting?
Last meeting.
That we've actually seen some decent results from it.
Yes.
I mean, look, I get it. You got a summons, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
A notice of violation, which is different from a
A
summons.
warning. So I got a warning 10 years ago when I moved into the house we built on Penn Lyle Road, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Because it was a pretty onerous warning. Well, guess what? In the last 10 years, I've never made that mistake again, okay? You read it, it's a simple rule. The vast bulk of the town is following it. Unfortunately, maybe your neighborhood is not, and maybe some more enforcement actions need to be taken, but we just can't
I don't want to rat on
have...
my neighbors. That's not the point. The point is the point, I guess there's nothing to be done because I can tell from your reaction that no one's even going to be listening to this kind of thing. If every one of our residents came to a meeting, would that have an impact? Because I could rally them up to it, but I don't want to waste their time if your decision's already been made and nothing's going to be made to
This decision
change
was
it.
talked about for many, many months last year. It's worked fairly well. You are the first person to get up and complain about
It's
it.
not working, at least in our
It's
neighborhood,
not working
or
if you
this
get a
office.
violation or a summons,
No,
and...
that's not the point.
Well,
It's not the point, because you don't realize what the effort is to do it by yourself.
I do do it myself. You can call my wife and my
The weekend
kids.
beforehand.
I do it by myself with my kids and my wife,
I don't have the
who
kids
don't
that have
appreciate
all
it,
gone to college.
but you probably don't have a 400-foot-long driveway that you're
I've got
dragging the
8
stuff
huge
down.
trees.
I've got about 80 huge trees, okay? Drive by 135 Penn Lyle Road and see all the damn trees I have.
Point of order.
Thanks for saying
All right,
damn
enough,
trees.
Point of
enough,
order.
enough. We've talked this to
If I
death.
bring my fellow residents of Jefferson Park, will that do it? I don't want to waste
Bring them
their
on.
time.
Bring it on.
It's open to the public.
Yeah, bring
This
them
was
anytime you
a
want.
very interesting interaction. Thank you.
Look, we're not going to change the rule.
Because of your reaction and your response to things, which I don't find very constructive and helpful.
You had plenty of time to discuss this a year ago when this ordinance had teeth put into it.
And then to be clear, we could bring our leaves to the DPW, right, Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
At any
Everything
time.
is on the website in terms of the collection schedule, the pickup by zone, the procedures for when the material is to be put out, how the material is to be put out, so on and so forth.
All right, next.
Sarah, I can't pronounce the last name, 109 Cranberry Road. No, this isn't Sarah Thompson. You I know. It's just the address, 109 Cranberry Road. Okay.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to ask about the sidewalks.
Could you just state
Could
your
you
name
put your name and
Amira Akhlaq, 109 Cranberry Road,
How would you spell your last name?
AKHLAQ.
Thank you.
So I'm just here to ask about the sidewalks, what's happening, what are we to expect, and that's it.
I saw a memo on that in the emails in the past 2 weeks from
The-
Ms. Ward. Can you
The
relay that?
status right now is that the township has sent letters to 5 property owners, whereby there has to be a discussion about the acquisition of easements. And those 5 letters went out last week on November 3rd, and engineering held its first meeting. And the owner that they met with basically has a substantial amount of landscaping involved, and to make room for that sidewalk, that resident is looking for the township to replace the landscaping. So if this is an indication of what the 1.5-hour meeting was like this afternoon, we have 4 more property owners to go, and when all is said and done, we really don't know what the overall costs are going to be in terms of acquiring the easements, with respect to making the improvements, because the land as it currently exists may have to be somewhat dissembled by removing landscaping and other fixtures on the property. So time will tell as to whether or not, and first of all, there is no guarantee that after meeting with all of the 5 property owners for this segment of the sidewalk, that there's going to be, that all of their concerns are going to be addressed, and it becomes a cost-benefit analysis. Are we going to spend more money basically trying to get the easements to run the sidewalk, and the price that one...
We don't know the price to begin. We don't know the price to begin with, though.
Well, we won't, because the landscaping plans have to be worked out. All of the details have to be worked out in terms of what the property owner is looking for.
And so where are you in the process?
We are in the process.
We've done that on Penn Lyle. There was
Right.
a house.
Right.
We had to put in 5 new trees because the older, more mature.
Right.
mature trees
We
had
had
down.
one meeting thus far. The letters went out November 3rd.
Did letters go out to everybody along the road, or just those 5?
Just those 5.
And why those 5?
Because their properties will be impacted by this project.
Was it from?
But only those 5?
Well, no.
For
just-
this segment of the project.
Out of how many?
I don't know.
believe.
Is this the side of the Montessori, or is
First
it the other
segment.
side?
How many houses between 571 and the first road, Berkshire?
Sunnydale.
Let's keep it.
Yeah,
Sunnydale. Sunnydale.
Let's keep it here. So,
So it is the side that is opposite side of Sunnydale,
Right.
towards where the Montessori is. So these are the houses that we're talking about.
Mr. Harbert?
I'm sorry, hey, Mom, I'm sorry.
sorry.
I have to keep the mic, sorry.
Those are the houses from 571 up to Sunnydale.
So
Right? That's the section you're
That's the
talking
phase
about.
1. Right.
That's phase 1.
Right.
So phase 1, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at phase 1 first, and you are talking to them.
I'm not talking
I
to
mean,
them.
whoever
The
is talking to
engineering
them, the engineer is
division
talking to
has
them.
sent letters out to the property owners that are likely to be impacted,
Okay.
or it's been determined that they will be impacted by the sidewalk.
So
Or-
there's no timeline that can be given.
I can't give
idea.
you a timeline because a lot of this assumes that there's going to, I don't know when the property owner owners are going to be available to meet with our staff, we will make ourselves available. We have asked them to contact us and reach out to us so we can set up these meetings sooner rather than later, and fortunately, we've begun that process. We have to encourage the neighbors that got these letters to come forward and meet with us sooner rather than later so we can keep this project moving.
Marlena, there was an email that went to council, and I know it went to Sylvia Ascarelli.
Right.
Would that be something that I could forward on to them, so that we'd give them a
Sylvia has that, yeah, we can afford.
If you want to give me your
forward it on.
email, I have
Okay.
it too. Give me your email address, and then what I can do is I can forward it to you tomorrow.
Were these 5 residents who were contacted, do we know if they were generally agreeable to the sidewalk to begin with, or were they disagreeable to the sidewalk?
I don't know. I just have copies of the letters. I don't know. I can find out.
I mean, if I look at Google Maps, there looks like only 5 houses between 571 and Sunnydale. I mean, at least only 5 blocks shown. So I think everybody got a letter.
You know, I will tell you, and I'm not speaking from other projects, not in this town, but in the town that I worked for, what property owners want in return for the granting of an easement can be very costly.
Well, not only that, but litigation if they don't get what they want.
Exactly.
And as I said at the last meeting, we do have one resident in this town who's been suing us for how long, Mr. Herbert, now?
30 years.
30 years over a sidewalk. 30 years. You have any idea the legal costs that this town has incurred over one resident, not too far from this building, for 30 years of litigation?
And are we going to spend more money? I mean, the issue becomes, do you pay more to basically improve someone's property because they've given you an easement than you would have spent on a sidewalk?
Cost-benefit analysis, right.
Okay, so there's several people from Cranberry Road. Do you have any other comments, or?
No, that's it. I
Okay,
just
thank
wanted
you.
to hear that.
Amy, is it Pico? Pico.
Hi, yeah, I'm here for Cranberry Road too, and
If you just state your name for the record and your
Amy,
address.
A-M-Y, Pico, P-I-C-C-O, and I live at 95 Cranberry Road.
Thank you.
In regards to the Phase 1 part of this, I'm just questioning, why are they doing such a small piece at a time? You're saying that you don't know what the time frame is like, if residents get this letter, do they have a certain amount of time to get back to you, or is this just going to be something that they ignore the letter and we never hear from them again, or is there a time frame? And if there is a time frame, why are we not giving it the letter to everybody that is involved in it, not just this one part? I feel like it's a detriment to the time frame here. Like, I feel like it should all be done to save some time here. It's almost as if people don't know that. That's how I feel. So,
Well, this is something that, you got to remember that we're the legislative body, and the mayor, who's not here, and the administration kind of run the show on doing stuff. And, look, I'm coming to the end of my 4 years up here, and massive frustration, and just not enough time to deal with this massive frustration. But I feel your pain on this, and I hope the mayor's watching from wherever at home, and he realizes, the kind of ridiculousness of only hitting 5 people at a time. Because this is a long process, just from what I've seen on other projects here in town, to get these type of things done. Excuse me. And everybody, on Cranberry Road, if they want the township to absorb the cost of doing this, kind of needs to be singing Kumbaya, or this will drag on forever.
right.
I do want to clarify that it's always been the township's intention, at least, with the first phase of the development, we're looking to construct the sidewalk on one side of Cranberry Road between Princeton Heightstown Road and Sunnydale Way. As far as, sending out letters to people who we may need to get easements from years from now, I don't think makes a lot of sense, because you don't know who's going to, remain in those properties and those people who are going to move from those properties.
But I think,
So-
Ms. Schmidt, that the concern is that the residents don't want this to take years from now. You know what I mean? And to the extent that we can get as many people on board with their problems being addressed as soon as possible, will facilitate the whole project.
Well, we've broken up this project into that one segment that I just talked about.
And who is leading the charge on that in the administration?
I believe our engineer is, and our assistant manager of engineering.
So engineering's driving the ship.
Yes.
And there's not a policy person like the mayor or Ms. Ward or yourself who are driving the ship on this?
I'm monitoring and I'm following up. The letters went out November 3rd, and I'm just trying to see if there's a time frame.
Do the engineering department and the mayor and Ms. Ward understand the sense of urgency in
Yes,
getting
they
this
do.
done?
They do.
Okay.
Doesn't seem so to the residents at all.
Thank you.
Can you comment?
Sure, go ahead.
It looks like there are only 5 houses from what I can tell on Google Maps. You can go and talk to each one of them.
Sylvia
Ascarelli,
Oh, hi.
27 Melville Road, also here to talk about sidewalks. Want to also congratulate all the winners in the election earlier this month and thank George for all his support for bike and pedestrian issues in his 8 years. So if I go back to July, council agreed to a contract for an engineering firm to work out the details of where the sidewalk should go, and that person had 3 months. Is that report, whatever that engineering firm found, going to be made public? And does it talk about then the right-of-way as opposed to the easement? There
Bless you.
is that 5.5-foot right-of-way before you get to the asking people for an easement because you want to move, you don't want to move a phone pole or something else. So I understand that some people might want their landscape replaced, but if that landscape is on the right-of-way, and why would we taxpayers have to replace that?
Right, they don't have a case, right? Because you could just go in there with a bulldozer and scrape it. Right.
And we're asking for a 4-foot sidewalk on a 5.5-foot right-of-way. So I would like to see the engineering report that was due at the late October.
Actually, the report, our consultant, the kickoff meeting was August 20th with them, and the 90 days puts it at approximately
Okay.
the date to November 20th.
Okay, so the kickoff meeting was a month after the contract was awarded. Will that report be made public at the beginning of December, well, after Thanksgiving, or is it going to take longer to get that report public?
I will find out.
I'm just hoping it's not going to be months and months and months like the last one.
I get it, and my fear is that the administration's going to get it, and they're going to want to look at it for 2 or
Rewrite it.
3 months, like they did to the last one, before everybody got to see it.
Well, we would, the hope was back in the summer that the construction work would be put out for bid over the winter, and that we would have some construction in the spring, and I know council has been very firm about that, and I hope that is still the case.
So here's the thing. Let me be totally honest with you, since it's my honest evening, and I'm going to piss off a lot of people.
Got 4 meetings left.
It's the mayor and the administration. They run the show. He's not here. I read in the paper last week, he doesn't like to come to council meetings because he gets attacked. Well, if he did his damn job, maybe he wouldn't be attacked, okay? But we all have jobs, and we sympathize with you, and we're ready, willing, and able to sign off and pay for this thing, assuming it's not insane, but they're running the show,
I understand
and he's
that.
not here.
Would you like us all to show up with even more people? Would that help in getting things done?
And-
Honestly,
and-
I mean, that would help
and-
you.
and
get
if the
help
mayor's
the
not
person?
here, we're not going to be able to
Okay.
help you. The mayor's in charge of the town,
Okay.
and he delegates a lot of responsibilities to Ms. Schmid, who then delegates things to Pat Ward and to the engineering department and
And
everything
more.
else.
Yeah, I understand.
You need to elect another mayor, is what you need to do, if you want to make this town move faster, frankly, in my opinion. We can't move faster. Everything that's given to us, man, we either say yes or no right away.
Well,
Mr.
I
Herbert.
appreciate any help you can give us in getting the report in early December.
Well,
and we'll
hopefully
be
the
back.
mayor's watching tonight, and maybe if the mayor doesn't do his job, you can all elect a different mayor.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks,
And
everybody.
it won't be me. Mr. Herbert.
Mr. Council President, I have the short paragraph that was sent to,
I have that paragraph. I mean,
I'll
I'm
be
not
glad-
even
I'll
going
be
to
glad
get
to read
into
it
what
to you if you'd like.
Sunny Q, Sunnydale Way means,
It-
because some of us thought, does it mean that it's actually on the other side of the street rather than to the Montessori side, to the Montessori, and then a crosswalk to Sunnydale?
it lays out what they're doing and how long.
All right, read the paragraph, but I want to move this along, because we're letting public comments get a
And
little
this
out
is
of
from Ms.
control.
Ward to Sylvia. The project to provide a pedestrian walkway along Cranberry Road is progressing. At our first phase of development, we are looking to construct a sidewalk on one side of Cranberry Road between Princeton Heightstown Road, 571, and Sunnydale Way. In doing this, we can provide some improvements sooner while we continue designs and permitting through NJDEP and DRCC for other sections, period. Our consultant has performed land surveying to determine actual property lines, county right-of-way, existing conditions, potential constraints, and has begun detailed engineering design for the entire corridor, period. As a result of this, our consultant, working with the staff, has determined potential easement acquisitions, landscape impacts, and tree removal requirements that appear to be necessary for this first phase, and is continuing that same work along the corridor, period. We just sent our letters to individual property owners whose property will be impacted with the first phase of construction so that we can meet with them to discuss the walkway layout and project impacts. These letters were sent out the beginning of November, so I estimate that this will take a few weeks to complete, period. We will be working in parallel with the consultant so that once impacts are resolved with property owners, we should be able to finalize the contract documents as well as easement acquisition documents, and go out to bid. Since we know we need additional right-of-way, if any owner decides to withhold it, that would delay the project. Let me know if you have any additional questions.
Okay, so what jumps to my mind is the township and the betterment of society operating from a position of strength or weakness? If in fact we do have 5 feet right away that could be scraped, okay? Like, hey, you either work with us, approve this, let us figure it out, something that's going to move quickly and not too cost impactful to the township. You either work with us, or we scrape the 5 feet and put a sidewalk right at the street, and your landscaping, which shouldn't be there to begin with, is just, SOL. So, I mean, that's what we need to know. Is the township in a position of strength, and is the administration willing to enforce that position of strength? And maybe if the mayor was here, he could tell us that, but he's not here. So maybe we can all send him emails, and maybe he'll get back to us. That's how I would look at it, though.
Okay. Thank you. Marlene, is it realistic to think that by the next 30 days or by the end of the year, that meetings will have been scheduled with these homeowners, 1, 2 meetings, whatever, to resolve, so that this doesn't drag on for months?
I'm hoping that it'll be within the next couple of weeks. Now, how easy it's going to be to come to some sort of agreement?
Well, it becomes really easy if you walk in there and say, hey, we need to work through this process and quickly, or you run the risk of a bulldozer scraping the 5 feet you don't own. Hard stop, period.
Maybe that's how you would
That's how I would
approach
do
it.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that that's going to buy a lot of goodwill, but that's,
I'm not in the goodwill game, Ishmael, if you haven't figured that out in 4
I
years.
understand that. I understand
Will give me
that.
lots of work.
Nah. All right, next.
Sarah Thompson?
Sarah Thompson, 113 Cranberry Road. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to everybody. Thank you for your service, Mr. Borak. And thank you to everybody. Congratulations, and congratulations to everybody here. And I just want to, I guess, first of all, start with something positive. We have 3 new babies now, as of just this other day, baby girls on Cranberry Road. So we're going to have a whole new generation of babies coming up to walk on the road. That's pretty nice news. And I want to thank all of you. Thank you, Mr. Maher, for all you've done to fight for us. We really, really appreciate that. We see it. Mendonez, thank you. Thank you, too. And I guess I just want to put in one positive comment that Mr. Jones, I can see now when I drive by there, I get so excited to see something positive that I see that it shows me how fast I'm going around where he lives. I mean, you're going, you don't have to only go 30 miles an hour and the little lights come on, and it's just so exciting to see something that there's progress. And I just really, So it gives me hope for Cranberry Road, and I know everybody gets, you feel like you get beaten up all the time. And I just think, Marlene, I know you must feel like you're between a rock and a hard place, and I want to thank you for listening to us. And I think all of you have just been wonderful. And I guess I happen to know the people probably on that road. I mean, so I don't know. So I guess I'm not a member of, if I go out there, I might just stir up something. But I just like to go and measure myself, but we're at the 5.5 feet and talk to them about, I don't know if that would work. Or
well, that's going to be surveying work too, because you don't really know, are they 4 feet in,
right.
3 feet in, 2 feet in?
That's right.
But that's why I asked. We need to figure out,
Yeah.
are we coming from a position of strength or not to force
right.
the issue?
Right.
But to your comment on the Jones, they're wonderful people.
Yeah, thank you. He
Love the
really
Jones
deserved
family.
that, and the fact that you've done something really good there. But I know that at least two of the people there probably, there was one, never mind, I can't say anything, but, so, we unfortunately got the difficult ones first, I think, two of the difficult ones. I think the rest of people down the line might be more excited about it. And is there anything as a citizen that I can do? Is there anything you or dissuade me from doing?
As the council president says, I don't have the information I need to determine whether we're operating from a position of strength versus a position of weakness.
Right.
Let me share with you something real quick I saw just this past weekend driving from Princeton to Quaker Bridge. There's that road that runs along the river there, and it's a very narrow road, and there's no real sidewalks, and it drops off. It's kind of a dangerous road. I can't really believe that nobody's ever upgraded that in so long. But there's a little red gravel pathway that looks like a sidewalk that I saw people walking on or riding their bikes on. And it's like, I don't want to say it's a meandering path because it doesn't do a lot of this, but clearly somebody thought of that, and it can support a bicycle, and it's not obtrusive in any way, shape, or form, and maybe some people can kind of drive by that, and I don't understand why we can't maybe do something like that to at least get people off the road. I was actually surprised that a woman was riding her bike on the road, on the path, too.
It's unfortunate that we have a lot of government regulations that require us to do certain
Really,
things.
Mr. Herbert?
I apologize, but the problem with a path like that may be, from an insurance standpoint, it may be uninsurable.
Princeton can do it.
It may not have been done by Princeton, it may have been done by a private landowner.
It looks pretty fresh, and it's pretty long.
I don't know. I'm just trying to...
Well, maybe somebody can find out.
Well, maybe if the ferries came at night and suddenly they had gravel out there,
Right.
would that be?
A few less bushes.
Yeah, I mean, never mind.
Are you suggesting?
No, I'm not suggesting
No,
anything.
okay, no, sorry. I don't, okay, my last point is just really quickly that we have a lot of leaves. We have 2.25 acres or whatever, and I was just wondering why, coming from Seattle, I'm sorry, I'm not from New Jersey, we don't have as many deciduous trees. We have more fir trees, but I would love to see that as mulch. I mean, couldn't there be like a big mulch machine that just come and help you all out, and then just come up and put it in, and you can have your better gardens. It could be more organic.
We actually do have some mulch available over in Community Park, right?
Right, and eventually we'll have a limited amount available.
Do you say limited or unlimited?
Limited.
Limited.
Well, there's only so much that the yard can handle without another government agency involving itself.
Oh, I see. I just thought to help out this gentleman, for example, if a big mulch truck could come up, and if he's tired, you're tired, and to do this on the weekend, I just thought, instead of being weekend warriors, maybe you can just get your mulch, never mind.
Look, this is a pretty full-service community, but that's maybe pushing a little bit too far.
Okay, I know, I knew it was far out, but I just had to mention it. Okay, but thank you all for everything you do, sorry.
Thank you. All right, let's try and keep it to the 3 minutes. We've been going on a little too long. Mr. Church, I know I can trust you'll keep it to 3 minutes.
Good evening. John Church, is this on? Yeah, 11 Princeton Place. Just a quick reference to the gentleman speaking about the leaves. We all have this problem, and we all have to be treated equally. I have a lot of leaves that I'm raking as we speak. I'm putting them in piles in my backyard. I have to do that because I'm not allowed to put them in the street yet. If I put them in the street, they would block the gutters, and we'd get floods. So that's the reason for the ordinance. And I know some people have more trees than I do, but we have to treat everybody the same. There's no grandfathering here. You're just going to have to do it. So that's my comment on what the gentleman said. I know he's frustrated, but we're all in the same boat. Now, to change the subject a little bit, in the last couple of meetings I talked about the lack of adequate reflectors on center islands in the township roads. I did a complete survey, and I sent a copy to Ms. Schmidt. I believe she has it, and also to Council President and Ms. Jeevers and to Chief Pica with a cover letter detailing 29 intersections where I think myself, and I'm not a traffic expert, that there should be red reflectors posted on the center islands to warn people in bad weather. Because you get fog, you get snow, you get ice. You cannot see these islands until you're right up on them. So I don't know if any action's been taken yet. I know there's a lot on the administration's plate. And I know that in some cases you're going to have to contact the county because these are county roads, some of them. But I really just want to emphasize again, we do need these things because it's very, very easy. Even though there are yellow stripes on the road, it's very, very easy to not see these center islands coming up on these two-lane roads. And it's an accident waiting to happen, and I would hope that we can make some progress in getting this addressed.
The matter's been referred to the police department, in particular the traffic division. However, we've had a retirement in that division, so as soon as the individual the chief replaces that sergeant, that will probably be one of the first projects that he or she will look at.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. And I did copy Chief Peaker on this, so he knows.
He's fully aware of it.
Good. Thank you very much.
And just remember, there again, I hate to keep quoting that there are regulations, but there's certain AASHTO standards with regard to that. That's the...
Right, of course. Obey the standards,
right,
please.
Right.
But as everybody will notice, sometimes...
And, you know, both the federal and the state have
Right.
certain safety requirements
Right.
that may
Right.
or may not allow those reflectors.
Right. I have seen reflectors on center islands before, some small ones. In fact, we do have some small ones, very inadequate on some of these islands already.
Well,
They should be replaced with larger.
Again, we want to make sure that we're following the regulations.
Of course, follow the regulations.
Sometimes towns will put them in and they won't be pursuant to the
Well, yeah,
regulations.
you do have to follow the regulations, so.
Because if there's an accident and then the town gets sued, then
And
you...
what if there's
Well,
an accident
you're
that's not
exposed right
reflected
now,
there?
in my opinion.
Exactly.
You are exposed right now.
Well, again, it may be your opinion, it may be my opinion.
Okay.
I'm not a traffic
I have
engineer, nor
I
are
have
you.
seen, yeah.
So we've got to
And
follow what they
Ms. Jeeves
say.
will back me up on this.
Well, yeah, look, this is something I brought up a couple of years ago.
Right,
There are
right.
other residents
Yeah.
who are very concerned about that, too. So it's been a while, so just want to get the ball rolling, and then...
Right.
and
It is rolling, and as soon as we
Well,
have the new
it's taken
traffic...
a couple of years, so...
Okay.
As soon as we have the new
I'm glad
traffic
it's
person at
rolling.
the police department, he will review it as to AASHTO standards,
I know.
federal and state standards, and report back.
All right, that's all I can ask for.
Thank you,
Very
Mr.
good.
Church, and thank you for your comment on the leaves. I'm sure I'm going to get a really nasty letter to the editor
Probably
from
will.
somebody in the
Probably
next
will.
week or two.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Next. Ms. Manzari.
Virginia Manzari, 28 Brookshire Drive. First, I just wanted to congratulate Hemant and Allison and Aisha for their win for the council seats. It was an honor to run with Hemant and Gerald, and also thanks to George. It was a spirited campaign, and we're all still standing, so I think that's a good thing. And just wanted to thank all of our supporters as well. With regard to Cranberry Road, my recollection and the recollection of the other people who live on Cranberry Road and have been involved for the last 2 years as well, was that Phase 1 was going to be 571 down to Millstone Road. I don't know when that changed to just Sunnydale Road. That's the intersection of where I live, and I have to tell you, that little section is the safest section of Cranberry Road. This is kind of ridiculous. The scary part is the part from Sunnydale to Millstone. That's where most of the people live. That's where there's no shoulder, let alone a sidewalk. That's where the front yards are steep and you can't even run out of the way of oncoming traffic. So for this to just be limited to Sunnydale Way is a joke. And I am not aiming this at Ms. Schmidt. I'm not aiming this at the council. I'm aiming this directly at the mayor. He has been avoiding this project for 20 years, and it's offensive, frankly. My son and Samira's son are good friends. They play together almost every day. They ride their bikes together almost every day. I have to say, I say a prayer every single time they get together because one or the other of them is going on Cranberry Road to get to the other person's house. It's ridiculous that this is only going to Sunnydale Way. It's offensive to the people who live in this community. Again, thank you. Again, my recollection, our recollection, and I'm sure I have it in my notes somewhere, this is supposed to go from 571 down to Millstone Road. So I would encourage you, Ms. Schmidt, to go back and speak with the mayor about that, maybe pull some tapes from some of those meetings, because I think that you'll find that the commitment was to go to Millstone Road as the first segment. And I really hope that this isn't sort of some part of a game to get out of doing these sidewalks for these people, because, that would be a real shame for the residents of this town. Thank you so much for hearing
Thank you,
me
Ms.
out.
Manzari. Yeah, I don't understand why it's being done in these little tiny bite-sized chunks, but maybe the engineering or you or Ms. Ward or the mayor.
Well, I think that.
I believe, I'll have to go back, but I believe we made council fully aware that we were going to take this project and do it in bite-sized chunks.
Right.
Basically, the
But
preliminary.
there's a difference. There's doing it in bite-sized chunks, and then there's doing it in bite-sized chunks where each chunk takes 2 years. And you draw out doing a mile over the course of a decade instead of over a year to 18 months. That's the difference. I mean, you know, as Ms. Manzari said, this is a 20 years talking about thing, and this council's gotten the ball rolling, and, you know, we want to see it continue to roll, not stall. Next, anyone else? Sure. Anything you want. As long as you're not going to yell at me about leaves.
No, far from it. In fact,
Okay.
I'm here to thank you, to be honest with you. My name is Danny Palumbo. I own AAA Taxi here in West Windsor Township. I am a board member for the West Windsor Taxi Association. We sent out a small little packet to each and every one of you today. I hope you got them.
Yes.
That signed letter?
Yeah, each one of you got them, they're in your
It's in your
mailbox.
email.
Mailbox.
That's on your email.
Okay, so maybe you didn't get them, but that's okay, too.
It's also in your email.
We want to actually thank you. Everybody's been very proactive. Me? You want me to talk in here? Sorry. Everybody's been very proactive in West Windsor, helping us fight these issues that we have with TNC companies, transportation network companies, Uber, Lyft, et cetera. We are hoping that we can get some type of closed meeting, private meeting. We certainly don't want to storm the fort with a bunch of angry taxi drivers out here. So the only reason why I'm here tonight is to say, hey, we thank you. We appreciate it. We're struggling out there. The points will essentially cover what I'm here for, and we're just looking to get a date outside of a public hearing, a private meeting more.
So some of us have not seen it, so let us look at it.
Sure.
We will get with Mr. Herbert and Ms. Schmid and see if that can be facilitated, and if so, when.
Well, we said in the last council meeting that we would make this open session. So we don't mind, we like to fill up the seats.
Can we
so
do
that
it? I mean,
It should be public.
Yeah, well, look, if it's not a personnel matter, if it's not a contractual matter or specific negotiation, then I think you have to do it in
It depends on the meeting, it
open
depends
session.
who's there from as elected officials. You can have
Yeah.
I
private.
mean, I don't mind doing it in a work session
Yes.
Administration,
after a
so.
business section.
But it cannot be a private matter before council,
Yeah.
Right.
a closed matter
See,
before
that's
council.
the
Okay,
thing, is
so-
there's
That's
rules
all right.
about what can be in a closed
Let's
session.
read what you have said, because we have.
Okay, sure. If it's okay, may I do that then? This
What?
might take slightly over a minute, 40 seconds, if you want me to read what I wrote, if that makes any sense.
Sure, but from the standpoint of having a meeting,
Sure.
it's probably going to end up having to be in a work session after a business session like this.
Great, no problem.
Probably said beginning of the year.
What?
Beginning of the year, what you told me. Beginning of the year.
Why does it have to wait that long?
That's what the last 3 council meetings, I've been bringing it up, and everybody's telling me no, no, no. So finally, I was told we would get it done the beginning of the year. But I'm happy to do that earlier if we can.
I think sooner is better than later.
Council President sets the agenda.
So should I read?
Go
Okay,
ahead, yeah.
I'll do
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
quickly. I don't want to take everybody's time up. Okay, so a couple of quick points regarding TNCs. TNC stands for Transportation Network Companies. The caption is leaving it to chance. A couple of quick statistics. Did you know that 72% of Uber and Lyft drivers have no idea, if at all any, how much insurance they carry? 92% of Uber or Lyft drivers don't tell their primary insurance companies to participate in ride sharing. Ride sharing, the definition is transportation of passengers. Currently less than a handful of insurance companies that have policies exclusive to TNC companies, all of which say that if you don't tell your primary insurance company that you are a TNC provider, you have no insurance. That's kind of going through it. There's a bunch of caveats with insurance regulations for TNCs, phones off or on. It's better if you read through it than me just rambling on. Who's really driving you? That's the next quick point regarding TNCs. Just a couple of quick statistics. Comparing the taxis here in West Windsor and local car services in West Windsor, our drivers are fingerprinted both by state, municipally. Drivers are commercially licensed by state, municipal, federal, or all 3. Our drivers have to go through multiple official background checks that can take up to 12 days. Our vehicles are clearly identifiable via taxi sign, company name, logo, commercial license plates, and/or DOT numbers. Again, our companies, I just feel, are safer. When we compare it to TNC companies like Uber and Lyft, they qualify for none of the above. In fact, if you go onto Craigslist, you can essentially rent an Uber or Lyft phone. That's essentially how you get their money. And that's essentially how they get their jobs. Last page. There's a couple of personal issues on the last page, so I'm going to skip through most of it other than the deregulation part of it. Essentially, we are up against this conglomerate $40 billion plus year company, but what this really comes down to is this is about regulating or deregulating. So for me, I can say in the last 27 years that I've been a part of West Windsor Township, we've always abided and followed by these rules and regulations, and we thank West Windsor Township. Before Mary Lou retired, she enforced this law. I've already spoken to Danny Moore. He said the same scenario. He's going to continue to enforce it. So I feel like we're onto something. We would love to be able to use you as a benchmark and include our neighboring municipalities, Princeton, Plainsboro, their taxi association, our taxi association. That's what we were hoping for. You're shaking your head no. That's not a good idea?
When we govern this municipality.
No, what I'm saying is, but since we're bordering towns, other towns like Hamilton, like Ewing, they have what they call tri-county. Tri-county meaning that since we're constantly crossing lines from here to Plainsboro, from Princeton to West Windsor, that we may as well all do this in one shot, because what happens is, and Sharon can attest to this, we can report all these illegal activities, but then all of a sudden, you're overwhelmed with all these complaints on a daily basis.
Right, no, we did get that memo.
So we don't want that to happen, basically. And so we were just looking to, instead of take up everybody else's time, we can sit there rationally, we can go over the points. If you could help us, great. We're looking for more support, and that's what we're here for.
Okay, so I think there are differing opinions.
Sure.
And lots of questions.
Sure.
And I think that if we could sit down in a closed session, we'll get it on the calendar.
Open
and we could have
session.
a back.
Open session.
I mean,
Right.
what?
Work session.
Work session.
Work session.
We can
Perfect.
kind of hash this out and hear where everybody's coming from.
I
Because, I
agree.
mean, I work in Manhattan, and there's Ubers everywhere.
They're
It's
licensed in Manhattan.
It's insane.
Right.
So, and that's the whole issue. So in the state of New Jersey, they're just not licensed.
Right.
So they created a business without any type of licensing, and now even after the fact, it's going to be hard for us to survive. So in cities like New York, in cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, San Francisco, they're completely licensed. I get it. But here, you don't know who's coming to pick you up.
Right.
And in that form that I hope that you all read, you'll see a couple of informational websites. Just please view it. I think the service, what would you say, Mr. Herbert, the service meeting, is that what you just referred to?
Work session.
Work session.
Work session, sorry. So I think that's an excellent idea, and that's all the time I'll take, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll try to bring Uber at that meeting as well. That was the one goal.
Sure, that sounds
FYI.
I think Gary also wants to speak here.
Hi, my name is Gary Zirkus. I represent also Taxi Association in West Windsor, and I just want to reiterate that we thank you folks for helping us with this whole situation with Uber. The police department has been wonderful, but we'd like to see some action, some more action, and helping us with signs and with the police and talking to them as well. It's a tough battle. You know, there's a lot of restrictions on us, and we'd like to see if other folks also be under the same restrictions and guidelines as we are. We're here to help the public. We're here for the public's safety. Or you get into a car, a new car, you don't know who you're getting in the car with. I have some materials that I could show you at the next meeting that we have, that there's been instances where people are getting into an Uber car, cars have been chased with police, with folks in the cars themselves being chased by police, not in our communities or anything like that, but in other communities. So in order to recognize who these drivers are, which we can, okay, because they're in private vehicles with no insurance. And here we are, you know, with full identification in all our cars. We're licensed. Our license is in our vehicles. We have a picture license, so a person knows when they're getting in the car that they're getting in a car that's within the laws of the municipality. And I think that's a comfort level that a lot of people would like to have, and it's also a safety issue. If a person gets involved in an accident, an Uber driver, they're not covered by their private insurance. And there's lots of cases, you know, you go from city to city, there are lots of cases, whereas Uber just closes their eyes and their ears and they're not helping these people, which is, you know, and if you have a situation where somebody gets hurt, who's going to pay for that? So we are covering with, you know, we are driving with commercial insurance. We have insurance to help us and to help our passengers as well. So in this meeting, we will have some things to show you with things that have happened, and will continue to happen because it's unsanctioned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Herbert, I haven't checked the New Jersey League of Municipalities, but maybe in your legal circles, I don't know if there's any resolutions floating out there, because this is like a state legislature type of issue with licensing, there's insurance issues, there's a multitude of issues.
The league conference is next week. I'm going to check into it to see if, I know this has been an issue in many New Jersey towns to be looked at, and also this may be something really for the New Jersey State Legislature to look at. I know that where it is regulated in other cities.
Hold your breath.
I know where it is regulated in other cities, there is some, I believe there's some state backing for that, or those cities have more autonomy than the New Jersey municipalities have in this area. So again, it's something I'm going to have to check into, but I will next week.
Thank you, Mr. Herbert.
Thank you.
Yes? No, you have to step up here and name and address.
Yes, my name is Wildy LaPointe. We created the association.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you just state your name and address for the record again?
Yes, it's Wildy LaPointe.
Wilden?
Wooldy. W-O-O-L-D-Y.
LaPointe?
Yes.
Thank you.
And your
address? And your address?
And your address.
Today, my address?
Yes.
Yes.
163 Palatine Lane.
Thank you.
Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Yeah, there was a, I just want to comment off what Mr. Peter just said. So you want to invite the Ubers to also be part of this meeting, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so for us, every year, right, we get a stack of papers, an envelope that's placed at our house. Is Uber also going to eventually get that same paper that we're actually, that we have to sign and we have to pay the township every single year? Applications? Because we have like at least 3 sheets of paper. I think Danny went over with the fingerprints and the fees that we have to pay every year. We pay to be here. We're licensed to be here. And so for me, for somebody like my neighbor, I'm talking to my neighbor the other day, he basically said, I'm going to start driving Uber. I'm like, okay, why? And tell me, what do you know about driving? He's a regular guy. I'm a regular guy too, but I've been doing this for at least 14 years, college grad and everything. So you're telling me that they should have the same platform that we have, platform that is only 34 licenses in West Windsor. There's a lot of people that's on the waiting list right here for many years. Sorry, Mr. George.
Is that true? We only have 34 licensed taxis in this town?
In this town of West Windsor. So now Uber, within that 34 license, we're fighting every day to get jobs. I have one guy the other day came up to me, and he's fighting with another guy because the guy took a $10 job from him. And I had to sit there and explain to him because some of these guys put me up top as being the president of this township, the tax association. I said, okay, fine. I'm the youngest guy here, college grad and everything else. I might be a little shaky right now talking to you guys. But the only reason I wanted to be that is just to be a voice for them. Because some of these guys might be a little bit more aggressive. I find myself to be a little bit more calm. I agree to that. But I don't know where, Mr. Peter, at what point do you think Uber should have the same rate we have? Because we had to buy this rate. Each license is worth something right now.
If I may, Chair?
Sure.
It's just being fair. You know,
how is it fair? Where's the
bring
point of
everybody to the table that has an opinion. So whether, and if we don't know what's going to result out of that. Maybe they will be paying more, or maybe we deregulate.
But so they're paying the township then, right? Because we're paying the township. So that means they're paying the township.
They're not. They're not. That's why we want to bring them to. That's why we want to bring them to the table and hold them accountable.
Okay, so every year.
But I think it's fair that if we're talking about a company, like if we talked about Uber and didn't invite you guys, that wouldn't be fair. If Uber was here and you weren't invited, that wouldn't be fair.
But what right do they have in this township, though? What right do they have?
They have rights in America as a company.
We pay to be here, though.
This is America.
In this township. Every town has a certain amount of license that they're issuing.
All right.
You know, so that doesn't make sense.
That's why I said there's differing points of view,
right.
and let's hash this out in a work session in the next couple of weeks. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
My name is Salnev Dosus, 23 Wesleyan Drive, Hamilton Square, New Jersey. Yes, 2 weeks ago, I think I dropped a letter to Miss Huber, but I tell her, please let all of us have a copy.
We did get a copy.
Okay, because we know we had a plan tonight, we'll be here, that way we might know what we're talking about. So the way the business taxi is right now, he look like everybody have to look in something to do. Because Uber pick up people for $7, $8, they right to do that because some of them don't even have insurance. Right now we pay like $6,000, $7,000 a year, where we cannot have $100 a day. And that's only one job we have, to pay mortgage, to take care of the kids, to take care of everything. So some of us working 16 hours. That's something somebody should do. They even cannot bring the need up. So in this case, we very, very need your help, please. If not, all of us going to do same like Uber, because if we don't have to pay $7,000, we don't have to pay license, we don't have to pay body magnet, so we can take it like Uber. So if we pay and we follow the regulation, because we respect the rules, I think I have like 22 years taxi driver in West Windsor. So if right now Uber come in, we don't know where he came from, and he drive like a crazy people, and a lot of stuff happen. But I don't know why they didn't bring that up. So we need help, because or we're going to do like Uber, and then the township not going to collect anything from us, and then anything from Uber, I need to know what's going to be better for y'all. Because when the police stop Uber, they give them ticket, that's going to be a big income for the West Windsor. Big income. So what we require on the letter I sent, we need, please, 2 hours in rush hour, 8 to 10, both sides, and 6 to 8, rush hour in the afternoon. That way, after 2-3 weeks, Uber will see this is going to be like that, they might drop or let us alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Mayor and Administrator comments.
I have several announcements. Our Department of Public Works is on schedule collecting yard waste in Zone 1. And then municipal offices will be closed in observance of Veterans Day on November 11th. There will be normal trash pickup. There will be no makeup days for missed trash. Any missed trash must be removed from the curb until next scheduled collection day, and regular trash may not be dropped off at the Public Works work site. The other announcement is Veterans Day ceremonies will begin at Dutch Neck World War II Memorial on Village Road at 11:30 a.m. with the laying of a wreath. And at noon, the ceremony will be held at the All Wars Memorial at the Municipal Complex. All are invited on November 11th to join the mayor and council at this ceremony. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Mr. Bork.
No comments.
Mr. Marate.
I just want to thank all the voters of West Windsor, those who voted, and the election again demonstrated the need that every vote does count, is not just a cliche, especially in local elections. Congratulations to Allison and Aisha, and just want to thank George for his service, and thank both Virginia and Gerald for putting up with me through the campaign. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mendonez.
Thank you, Mr. Maher. Ms. Schmidt mentioned Veterans Day is Wednesday. I will not be able to make that observance, unfortunately. The electric industry does not close down. But on that same vein, I just want to thank all the veterans out there. And also on that vein, I also want to thank those who not only ran and were elected, but also those who voted. I think Ms. Young will mention our turnout numbers, but they were sadly very, very low. So again, for just our veterans, let's vote. Let's vote often. Doesn't matter who you vote for, let's just vote. Okay, real quick on the And I noticed Ms. Swanson wasn't here, but just in the back of my head, and maybe just for a follow-up, someone brought up before from South Post Road, what were the health requirements for portable diesel generators or gas generators? So I was hoping we could talk about that maybe at the next Board of Health meeting. That way we know what the ramifications are if someone's running 12 hours of a generator in Mercer County Park, so that at least we can look at it from a health perspective.
She hasn't forgotten. She got a little.
No worries. We want our Board of Health members
There was
as healthy as possible.
Yeah, she had a health response she had to deal with.
Most definitely. So that was one item. Second item, and I'm glad the taxi drivers are here. Full disclosure, I did take an Uber to get here. I had 10 minutes to get here, and there was no other way to get here, physically no other way to get here, so I took an Uber. And the one thing I did note, I do take Ubers all the time. I ask my drivers all the time where they're from. I've met a few that are from West Windsor. They live in affordable housing, FYI. In addition, and we'll talk about this in the work session, but there are ways to go around how we're policing people. So essentially, as Chief Pika mentioned, people will jump in the back seat, of an Uber car, and that's how you identify, oh, that guy's an Uber driver. Now everybody's telling them, just hop in the front seat. So how are you going to even pick them out? And if we're going to be harassing people who are going into front seats of cars while getting picked up at the train station, that's just a ridiculous solution. So my whole point about bringing up Uber before was that there are I'm an entrepreneur. I work in the clean tech space and technology. There's a technology solution I can imagine where government can get out of the way and everyone can be happy, just like in New York. Lastly, as you can all tell, it is November. More specifically, as my wife will tell you, it's Movember. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month was October, right? November is for men's health. So testicular cancer, prostate cancer, and men's depression. So instead of wearing pink, everybody grow out their mustaches and beards.
That's fine.
There's a reason. I do not like it. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Ms. Jeevers.
Congratulations to Aisha, Krishnan Hamilton, Hemant Marathe, and Allison Miller on your election, to council. I'll be working, with all the council members, council-elect members as we transition, and I believe we'll be having the reorganization meeting October 1st. You'll get sworn in, so...
October 1st?
January 1st. I'm sorry, January 1st.
She's in a hurry.
I'm sorry.
See, Brian, you got to be here till next October 1st, huh?
Not me.
Yeah, no, January 1st. All right.
Done my purgatory.
And those who also ran, thanks for running. It's great. It's the American way. We had competition. It was a very close election. It wasn't any large sweep on either end. So it was good. You got out there. You met residents. You heard a lot. So just encourage everybody to stay involved. Okay, you did a good job, regardless of the outcome. Thank you, Mr. Church, for all the work for the reflectors. A lot of people will value that, and we'll wait for the police report to come in and take it from there. Let's see, what else? Oh, Wednesday, Veterans Day. Just want to thank all of our veterans. They're our heroes. We're so proud of them, and just very grateful for their service. They are our heroes. And finally, holiday season, and happy Diwali to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jeevers. A couple of things. Mr. Marathe, Ms. Miller, Ms. Hamilton, congratulations. Very, very close race again. Remember when I ran 4 years ago, it was just as much a nail biter, maybe even a little tighter. Yeah. So yeah, every vote does matter. And when I was going over bills and claims today, we're sending $11 million in this bills and claims alone to the county. $11 million of your taxpayer money, okay? Got it's regular county tax, library tax, open space tax. I really wish the people in this town and this county would take as much interest in the county elections as they do in the local elections. Because you know what? As hard as we all work up here on the local budget, it's nothing compared to what we're paying for the county. Not to mention the schools, but we love our schools. But I'm at a loss all the time as to what we're getting back from the county. And I noticed that I think we're spending like 500,000-ish in this bills and claims for open space. And it's like, I know what we had to go through this past year to kind of claw back, $500,000 from the county, and yet we just send it to them all the time. And so, I hope that people pay a little bit more attention to the county level, because that's really going to impact your wallet. Veterans Day, I asked Ms. Jeevers to kind of lead the charge there. Unfortunately, Wall Street doesn't close on that day either, like Mr. Mendonez's business, so I won't be able to attend, but I do wish all of our local veterans well. And, lastly on the leaf thing, look, there's been a rule in place. It's been forever. We tweaked it a little. I don't think, if anybody wants to give us grief about not picking up leaves in January and February, it's like, come on. But the rules really haven't changed. And so I'm sure I'm going to catch flack, and I'm sure 50 people from Jefferson Street, or maybe 20, are going to show up and bitch me out at the next meeting. It is what it is. We all have to live with it. We just can't have people throwing their leaves in the street whenever the hell they want because it's convenient for them. Okay? So it is what it is. That's all I have.
Brian, just one, I forgot to make one comment. The Parking Authority meeting, which was originally scheduled for Wednesday, is now scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday, 8 p.m., 64 Princeton Hightstown Road. And same to jump with Linda, Happy Diwali, starting tomorrow. Thank you.
Michelle.
Election was a nail biter, and I just want to congratulate Mr. Marate, Ms. Hamilton, and Ms. Miller. I'm looking forward to working with everybody. And to Peter's mention, the election, the primary election, I think it was between a 10 and a 13% turnout. So this election, even though it was low, it was closer to 25%. So I was like, woo-woo!
Double digits?
Yeah, double digits. So, and there was pretty much a steady flow at all the different locations, which was a good thing.
But correct me if I'm wrong, there were county officials in that election.
Yes, there were.
And state assembly people in that election. So people who really can impact your pocketbook, 90% of the people weren't showing up to vote how they think, and now we got to pay all these bills.
And that includes mail-in ballots, too, right? The percentages.
I do think mail-in ballots were a lot more robust this time, though.
Yes,
you had a lot of college kids sending
Yes, they
in,
were.
I know, their votes, which is good.
School board election, too.
All right, so we don't have any public hearings this evening. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Resolution 2015-R214, Refund of Development Plan Review Project. Minutes, September 28th, 2015. Business session as amended. October 13th, 2015. Closed session as amended under separate cover. October 13th, 2015. Business session as amended. Bills and claims.
Council President, could I make a comment on one of the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Herbert.
Let me guess which one.
I'm sorry?
I'll take a guess. Go ahead.
You would guess correctly, as always, Madam Councilwoman.
Give me a lot of credit tonight.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
I'm looking at the October 13, 2015 business session.
Page 11.
Page 11. I made a comment, and it was inaccurate, and I apologize. I made a comment that I advised that the Council President would appoint the Finance Committee. I had misinterpreted it that it was a committee of the council that we were looking to do. My fault. If we do appoint a finance committee with regard to special practices, sorry, not special practices, but best practices, that council committee is appointed by the mayor. So I apologize for that.
Then forget it.
What's advice
I
and consent?
can't appoint it and forget it.
I'm so sorry. So I just wanted to correct the record on that. I apologize. I just, I misinterpreted the question.
That.
No, I was all excited when you told us that.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry about
We
that.
don't need to pull those minutes now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay, are we pulling those minutes for correction? And then-
All I'm saying is, in these minutes, you can place it in these minutes, just that I corrected it.
Okay.
We'll just correct the wording. What's the wording? We'll just amend it.
Yeah.
No,
Understand.
the problem is I already made those statements, and
Oh,
the
No,
minutes are
I
what
mean,
they are.
yeah,
I just wanted to
exactly.
correct them for our minutes
them
in
in
this
No,
meeting.
your
record for
comments
this
will be reflected in today's meeting minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Showing my correction.
All right. All right, Boric?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Marate?
Yes.
Mendonez?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes. Okay, recommendations?
Okay, on this one, a two-thirds vote will be required. 2015-R215, authorizing the transfer of funds within the 2015 municipal budget into the zoning board operating budget to cover expenses associated with litigation. The amount of the transfer request is $7,500. 2015-R216, authorizing the person-to-person transfer of the plenary retail consumption license number 1113-36-005-013 from 3499 Brunswick Pike Restaurant Corporation to Pure Restaurant, TA Pure Restaurant to Princeton Dining LLC. 2015-R217, providing for the insertion of the 2015 State of New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice Body Armor Fund in the 2015 municipal budget. The amount is $4,457.13. 2015-R218, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute contract amendment number 1 with Van Cleef Engineering Associates for supplemental work for the project known as 2014 Annual Sewer Rehabilitation. The amount is $3,750. 2015-R219, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with ACT Engineers for construction, observation, administration, and management services for the annual road improvement program. The amount of that contract is $10,956. And 2015-R220, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a contract amendment number 1 with Bank 3 Inc. for supplemental work for the project known as the 2015 Annual Road Improvement Project. The amount of the amendment is $5,500.
And if we could, can we just do a separate vote?
Yes.
So we're going to pull R215 to vote on it separately. Does anybody else need anything pulled?
No.
We have a motion to approve 216, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bork?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Morate?
Yes.
Mendonez?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes. Okay, so R215. Does anybody want to discuss this before we go for a two-thirds vote?
Make a motion?
Well, wait. If nobody else does, I do. This is related to transferring money, I think, from the leaf and brush disposal budget.
We're taking money from that account.
Right, from that account, that the administration and certain council members wanted to make $150,000, and we argued it down to 100, and we're not even going to spend that. So that's good that we still have that money.
That is a good thing, isn't it?
It is a good thing, Ms. Schmidt.
The trees were friendly.
No, the budget was too high. Simple math got us to 100. Actually, it was more like 90, 95.
Right.
But this is related to litigation going on over there at Ellsworth, whereas many of you know, and some of us ran on a campaign of trying to clean up that disaster behind the Ellsworth complex, and Mr. Ellsworth is trying to improve, and I'll be careful.
Okay.
I'll be careful. To improve his facility, and I think that the litigation going on now from the property owner in the back has been going on for well over a year and a half, 2 years. It's costing this town a lot of money. So now we have to start transferring money into litigation accounts to pay lawyers for this, which we as a council, and I believe the administration, are trying to improve the overall quality of this town, only to be faced with opposition from a property owner who would choose to sue us ad nauseum to get his way. And it's not Mr. Ellsworth.
That property owner is before SPRAB right now as well.
I understand that. So that's what's going on here. So I think, Ms. Miller, you probably know, Aisha, you're going to know all about this wonderful litigation and litigation expense over the next couple of years of your term. I wish you well, but it is nauseating. Do we have a motion to approve R215?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Bork?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Morate?
Yes.
Mendonez?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes. Introduction of ordinances?
2015-R2 2015-14, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 168, Traffic and Parking of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of West Windsor.
Right, and I believe that this is just a minor revision as it affects Bear Brook. Is that correct, Mr. Herbert?
Yes.
And there's one correction on page 75. There was a typo under Old Bear Brook. If you go about a quarter of the way down, Scott Avenue West, it's from Little. The correction is from Lilly, Lillie Street.
Just another correct, oh, go
Right,
ahead.
I mean, the old Bear Brook Road, this came up in the Manili application, the Toll Brothers. So we said that we would put it on here, and I guess Sam brought it forward right away. So that's where this is coming out of.
Anybody else?
Just a small correction that Ms. Miller pointed out to me. Page 73, Alexander Road, sides both, location from Heightstown Road should be to instead of and. So, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to introduce this?
So moved to introduce.
As amended?
As amended.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Go ahead.
But it won't be amended if we're making the corrections before the introduction, correct?
Well, that's technically true.
That's true.
So,
Right, so motion to approve.
okay.
Motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce.
Linda?
And I second it.
Okay. Bork?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Morate?
Yes.
Mendonez?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
And the public hearing for this ordinance will be November 23rd, 2015.
Okay. All right, that's it. Additional public comment.
You can comment now.
Allison Miller, 41 Windsor Drive. Everyone else has said it. Congratulations, Mr. Morante. Congratulations, Ms. Hamilton, for winning the election. And I want to thank everybody who ran, everybody who voted, everybody who worked on any campaign. And boy, am I happy it's over. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Good luck.
Hi, Virginia Manzari, 28 Berkshire Drive. I just wanted to clarify, did you say that if you normally get trash pickup on Veterans Day, that they're not going to pick up the trash for the entire week? It won't be until the following week?
No. There is trash collection on Veterans Day.
Oh, okay.
But there's no makeup. So some people may think that because it's a federal holiday, that there will be no trash collection. There is trash collection.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
checking. Maybe I might not have been as clear as I could have been.
So this has literally happened where somebody's trash hasn't got picked up, and they put it out, and then they call council members to have them come pick it up. So
And
please don't call.
Brian
Yeah,
goes
Mr.
in his
Maher.
BMW,
Yeah.
picks it up.
There's very little room in that car. Call
The information is on our website if people want to double check.
Anybody else? Not you, Ms. Manzari.
I was just going to say, somebody texted me that they're going to drop it off at your house if they didn't
Thanks.
pick it up.
Yeah, the leaf guy. He's probably dumping all his leaves in front of my yard right now.
Yes.
Anyone else? All right. These last few meetings are going to be fun. Council reports. Mr. Bork.
No reports.
Mr. Morata.
No report.
Mr. Mendonez.
I have two reports. Quick question, though. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So going back to what Mr. Herbert said, how does one create a finance committee? That would be under so the mayor would just do it at will, or is there any?
The mayor would appoint.
So what's the actual process? He would have to create a committee first, and then he would appoint, or?
Well, the ordinance, right? When we have to
Or
put
would
it
it be
into
on-
ordinance?
I'd have to look into that. Probably yes. I'd have to check into that.
Okay, thank you. That was my.
Can't there be a council subcommittee where the council gets to pick who's on it, but it's from the council?
And what I was trying to say before, when the question was asked, is council can form a subcommittee for anything. And I was thinking that you want to discuss finances and have a subcommittee for that. But the finance committee, as defined in the best practices under our form of government, which is the Faulkner Act, is appointed by the governor. I'm sorry, by the mayor. I apologize.
I think Mr. Christie's busy running.
Yes, he's a little busy right now. He actually gave a very good speech the other day about drug rehab.
Are the appointments by the mayor, if the town chose to go this route, subject to advice and consent of council?
Again, that's something I'm going to have to look into.
And maybe just the subcommittee itself. So when you say subcommittee within the council, is that council members in a committee, or is that?
It's just council members, yeah.
So there
would be two
can't be
council
members
members.
of the public?
Right.
Is that correct? So council cannot create a committee of people from the public?
No.
And it can't have more than 2 council members, too, can it?
Correct. Unless you have official meeting where you'd have to notice it and so forth.
And that's within the subcommittee or just in general?
If the subcommittee is of 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the
So there's
subcommittee of more than 2 people.
We're just looking for people that know Excel.
Sure.
So.
It is something I will look into, and I will talk to the mayor about it.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you for answering that question. All right, so to, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Chevers.
Well, just as a follow-up to what you, I can wait, you can finish up.
Okay.
It was just.
Oh, it's just 2 quick reports. The school board met on Election Day, right, on Election Day, so which I did not get to attend, and they're also meeting next week, which I will be at the League of Municipalities getting trained, so I will not make that meeting. In addition, the zoning board met last Thursday, and the topic of conversation was the Grover Mill House, right there on our seal. So there, it was voted on 5-2 that property would essentially not be torn down, however, built into a 5-unit apartment structure. So again, this building right here on our seal.
Wait, back up. What? Back up all the way.
Our zoning board.
Yes.
So Grover's Mill, Cranberry Road in Clarksville.
Okay.
Right? That house right there.
Got it.
So that's
Blue House.
the blue house, yeah. No, across from,
Red.
across from the chiropractor.
Oh, across from it.
On the water, on the water.
That was the chiropractor's office.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe they should add a second chiropractor there. But essentially, that house was owned by a member of the zoning board, full disclosure, right? So that person recused himself.
Was or is?
Is, but was not at the meeting, dialed in. Essentially, so that was up in the zoning board, that this building was going to be rezoned for multifamily use. So right now, it's, and Ms. Manzari, it was commercial on the bottom and residential on top, so it got rezoned on a 5-2 vote to be a multifamily unit, 5 homes, or 5 apartments with 10 parking spaces. It was a good deliberation. Personally, actually, it doesn't matter what I think personally, but just to preserve the outside structure, you know, it's really what's on the inside as well, too. So that's what I have to report from the zoning board
So
perspective.
it's just 5 apartments?
5 apartments, 10 parking spots. Right.
No retail?
No retail.
Oh,
No, so we
but
lost
just
the rateable,
apartments,
but
yeah.
we got 5 apartments and 10 parking spots in that very busy intersection.
There was a business there, so
There was a business there, yeah.
Ms.
But
Chevers.
That's it. Thank you.
Just going back quickly on the finance committee idea, if that's something that the mayor wants to do or it needs to be discussed with us, because I remember probably a year or two ago, you brought it up to us.
We discussed it.
Right, I know it was brought up. I don't know whether we ever got a formal proposal of who would be on it, how it would work.
No,
Just a
the answer speaks for itself. That was my recollection of the discussion that
Right.
we had with the mayor.
Right, because the chief financial officer, when she responded to some of your questions, actually, you know, was sort of blaming us for it not happening, but I guess if the mayor wants it to happen, then he can do it.
We
You know what I mean? Or bring it forward next year. If that's a priority or you really want to do it, he wants to do it, then you could bring it forward again.
Let Mr. Herbert do his research so we can have the correct information, and we'll report back.
Yeah, well, it would have to, the mayor would have to want to do it. I mean, it's, you know, it's not our committee.
I will speak to the mayor and research the issue and
Look, Ms.
report
Chevers,
back.
I don't understand what
You
the
know.
point of it is. If the mayor's going to be the appointer of people to be on his finance committee, overseeing his CFO, overseeing his budget, where do you think you're going to get with all that?
Well, if they use Excel, it will help.
No,
It will
was
help.
just that, you know,
I mean, it just seems like a waste of time. It's like the
Numbers
fox
don't lie.
watching the hen house. I mean,
Well,
I just brought this
I
up
thought there was a
response to the
discussion
chief financial
about,
officer.
the mayor and 2 members of council?
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Again, we'll have to talk to the mayor about it and research it, how it's done, and I'll get back to you.
Well, if you can find him, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I would put a member or 2 of the public on it if you're going to have the finance
Sure.
committee, because otherwise we really go through the budget.
That would be
all
the
of us
that would be
together.
the idea of
on
the
the
finance
committee.
committee.
To
Let them
look in depth into certain issues a little bit deeper than what we can do up here.
open it to the public.
What else? What else? That's it. That's it.
Okay. The only thing I have, Environmental Commission meets on Thursday evening. I unfortunately won't be able to be there. I will be taking a 4-hour-long securities test, so.
Good
somebody
luck.
else. So that's all I
Better
have.
you than me.
Yeah. Ms. Young, anything?
Nope.
We don't need another closed session. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.